All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's hit record. All right, so the topic of today is going to be how should I eat? Uh, this is going to be first in our series of frequently asked questions. Basically, we wanted to create this library of frequently asked questions so that if the common things that come up, how should I eat, how should I train, how much recovery I should get, all those things will be addressed and available to you so that when you are on a Sunday just hanging out and you're more susceptible to learn information, well, we're going to go ahead and give you the opportunity to do so, as opposed to during your training randomly asking a question and we have to stop everything we're doing and go over it. And you know that I talk way too damn much. So the idea here is to try to condense that and give you guys a better product, a better environment that is Black Sheep, and give us this all-encompassing community that can help you to grow into the beast that you should be. Okay, so first subject, I'm gonna try to keep it super quick. I kept some notes right here, but basically the first thing that most people when they come in here is how should I eat? And I'm pretty simple in guidelines because I think most people can stand to really milk the simple things before they get into the more advanced things. Most diet coaches or nutrition coaches or anything like that will typically give you a meal plan. They'll tell you exactly what to eat, how to measure all these things. And I think that that's kind of a little too much in the beginning. So I'm always under impression that, or under what works for us that we found over time was a level 1, level 2 approach. And most people could take a long time on the level 1 before they even get to the level 2. So basically when we come down to it, one of the first questions that we get, especially with social media and all the information out there, is that we're flooded with different types of diets out there, whether it's a paleo diet, a low carbohydrate diet, a keto diet. I mean, the list goes on. And there's so much information out there. There's so many people claiming to say that this is superior to the other and henceforth. And I really believe that that's not true. I believe that when it comes down to it, you have to find the best diet for you is the one that you could sustain and that you could keep over time to give you lasting results. And when it comes down to it, that's really going to go down a lot more to personality type and psychologically how you deal with things. If you're a very intricate, detailed person, you might do better on a measuring style diet where you're checking your macros and stuff like that because you guys like to control things. A little bit of control freaks, that's for you. If you're a little bit more of a social butterfly, that's not really going to work for you because you like to go out with your friends, you like to do things like that. Well, that's not really going to work for you. It's going to be hard trying to pull out your food scale and actually get correct macronutrients from a restaurant when you don't know exactly everything that's into it. So in my opinion, there isn't a diet that's more superior. You just have to kind of understand what works for you better and sticking with that. For example, I'm really bad when it comes to carbohydrates myself. I feel like I'm addicted. Like I can eat them all day and I just won't stop. I'm just a constant black hole and I'll just keep eating it. So to me, I feel that when I have diets that give me a firm restriction on my carbohydrates, that works better for me because it helps me to regulate what I'm worst at regulating on my own. You get what I'm saying? So other people, if you're more towards you want to be more like holistic, a little bit more organic style diet, and that works for you and you have the economics to make that happen, then by all means do that. But mixing that with a macronutrient diet to where you're measuring and you have to take like maybe some massive amounts of protein, it might not work too well and mesh with that. So you can kind of see where we have to play with it. So when it comes down to it, the first thing that I tell anyone to do in nutrition is to just clean up the simple things. Okay, so really just gonna have to audit themselves top down, and really doesn't take too much to do it. So what we tend to do in the beginning is we give them a food journal, and we don't give them any pre-guidance. We just say, hey, we want you to write down everything you consume as far as solids and liquids. Write it down, kind of get me close to what the quantity is. I really don't need a direct measurement, but give that to me right off the bat. And then what we can do is we can kind of see what your habits are and what you lean towards and maybe where you're failing at. that you may not notice, because as you get in a routine and you start eating, you don't really notice what you're doing and what you're not doing. Okay, so sometimes you need that other approach where someone can look at it and be like, you know, you're having too much here, or your timing of your meals is too late in the day. Maybe you need to start eating breakfast so that you aren't binge eating so much after you get off work. Stuff like that. You'd be surprised that there are a lot of simple things that people miss, and those are the $100 bills that are right in front of us, but we're too busy stepping over them to try to pick up little things that are a little bit easier, and they're not as easy to see right away. So what we do by telling you guys what to eat in the beginning is that we're just looking at taking away the junk in the beginning. So we'll look at that food journal. We'll see where you kind of lean towards. If you're a person that takes in a lot of liquid calories, we're going to take those away right away. We're going to be like, hey, I want you to start drinking more water. Take away the sugary drinks, stuff like that. We don't want empty calories. The calories that we put in our body, we want to make sure that they're actually going to do something as far as promoting our goals, whether it's weight loss, building muscle, or increase in performance. And if we're noticing that you're having a lot of sodas and stuff like that, then we know that's not doing it. So we're going to try to take away that in the beginning. And we're going to say, hey, we're going to put a restriction, no sugary drinks, no empty liquid calories, take that out. We'll go there and we'll try to get you drinking more water in the beginning, because most people, especially teenagers, when they come here, they drink very little water. And that's a recipe for disaster, especially when we're training intensely at Black Sheep as we do. People know that you can't get away with not drinking water and not eating well for the most part, because it's going to catch up to you. So we're going to take that out in the beginning. We're going to look at the quality of the food as well. We don't necessarily mean that you need to know Farmer Joe and see him actually pull the egg out of the chicken. We don't really need that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take out the junk food, the processed carbohydrates, the fast food, stuff like that. We're going to take that out, and we're going to say, hey, we want you to eat more animal proteins if that works for you. We want you to eat more vegetables, leafy green vegetables, and we want to take away these processed carbohydrates out of your diet. We want to make sure that we have good quality food over anything else, and then we go from there. So we've taken away the junk and the liquid calories. We've increased the quality food. We said, hey, drink your water. Avoid some of the trash that's in your diet, okay? Now, what we'll do beyond that, say you're looking at trying to lose weight, we might say, hey, let's take our weight every Friday and Monday, and that's going to give us a snapshot that actually circles around the weekend, because that's when we tend to fail the most, is we're home and we're kind of eating because maybe we're bored or we're watching the game. Maybe it's football season. We're consuming a lot of carbohydrates with very little activity. So very simple. When it comes down to it, there's no diet that's really superior. It honestly sucks. When it comes down to it, you just have to stick with it. You're going to take away some of these addictive foods that taste really, really good, and you have to take them away, and you have to start changing the taste in your body to start leaning towards these foods that are better for you, and start thinking that what I'm consuming in my body needs to support these goals. If I'm already paying for a gym, stuff like that, that's a small piece of the puzzle. What we're doing outside the other 23 hours away from the gym, that's a big deal, and we want to make sure that we're leaning towards what is supporting our goals and what isn't, okay? So when it comes down to it, don't think about it too much. Just clean it up, take out the trash, eat good quality food. You know what you should be eating and what you shouldn't be eating. It's just like when you tell your kids, hey, you know what you're supposed to be doing, what's the wrong thing, what's the right thing. So make sure that you're making good decisions. One more thing to do, maybe a nice little tip, when you're out and about, don't go too crazy about this, okay? If you're socially having fun with your friends, don't be that guy that's turning down beers from other people. That's not cool. It's okay. Drink a little bit in moderation. If you really, really don't want to drink it, just take a sip and babysit the rest of the day. As long as you got a beer bottle in your hand, no one's going to bother you. I know it's hard, because when you're making a lifestyle change around you, other people get a little intimidated because they think that you're trying to change your life too, even if you aren't at all. It's just the kind of the weirdness that's out there with people, is that when you try to improve yourself, they tend to get a little intimidated. So do that when you're out and about. Try to keep like an 80-20 rule. I'm going to make my food 80% good, 20% not. If I have 100 meals in a month, I am going to make 80 of them something I could be proud of and I could tell my coach about. The other 20, I'll kind of sleep under a rug. But this is a process. It's going to take some time. So make sure that you're putting in the time. If you're training intensely in the gym, make sure you're taking that same intensity to how you're recovering at home. Because if we are not putting the correct things in our body, then we are not going to build the muscles that we're trying to build and break down. Actually, the muscles we're trying to break down in the gym, we need to go home and make sure that we're building it. Okay? So that's just basic guidelines when it comes to nutrition. We could go so farther into it, but honestly, just don't eat trash. Take out the liquid calories. Eat better quality foods. Give yourself some guidelines. Stick with it and get after it. Okay? Y'all have a good one.